Those are too kind. And yeah, so thank you for the nice intro. Some of that's even true, but yes, work for Adobe, and and I've been doing design for a long time. This is kind of my career in a snapshot, basically. I used to airbrush. I went to art school, and I used to do airbrushing. That was like the hot thing to do when I was in art school, by the way. And then just have a, kind of owe my career really to Flash, to be honest with you. I did most of my work in Flash. So, Flash users in the house, raise your hand. Be proud. It's good. Feels good. But, it's like I would use whatever technology I need to get my idea across, but really we're all in the visual communication business, right? And not necessarily the technology business. I don't think any of us like arguing over technology or any of that. I just want to create cool stuff and hopefully empower you guys to do so as well. So, yeah, in general, we could talk about some of the things that we like and dislike. And you guys probably, hopefully agree with this, sort of as a designer or as an animator, kind of where you're coming from. And I'm assuming most of the people in the audience are kind of leaning on that side of things, right? And you just go around, I could ask anybody in the room, what do you not like? Well, templates, scare. I don't want templates, right, for one. It's like I want to make stuff like from scratch if I can. Tools for amateurs, because, that just, I don't know if that's a good idea either. Technology wars. Developers, I love developers, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's developers in this room. Mad respect for you. I don't understand half the acronyms you use, but you're much smarter than I am, and in general, those databases and things like that scare me. Because at the end of the day, I just want to create cool stuff is what it comes down to, right? So anything that gives me creative freedom, right? It's going to, independent of, say, technology, ideally, professional software to get the job done at the end of the day, and like minimal coding, right? There's nothing wrong with that, right? And that's kind of what we've had in Flash for years, by the way. So you've had that creative freedom. It also being actually an independent technology now, because what was once Flash Pro is now Adobe Animate CC. So hopefully everybody got that memo. Did you guys get that memo? I'm just starting at a really basic level. So, yeah, and it's the same sort of Flash that we know and love. I can open up all those same FLA files in Animate, and it's going to work as expected, okay? But I'm serious when I mean like creative freedom, independent of technology as well. Because yes, I can create, I can design, I can import, I can add animation, I can add interactivity. Each one of those things in that first line means another level of creativity I can add to my work, right? And that's why I honestly don't do print anymore. Sort of when you add motion to something, that's a whole new level of creativity that we can have, for our work. And then adding interactivity on top of that is, again, another level of creative freedom that we can exploit. Independent of technology as well, so we could still publish to SWF. In Animate, we can publish to HTML, WebGL, SVG, 4K video, your own little custom framework if you want. And in general, it just gives me that flexibility as well. So it's platform agnostic is what it comes down to. And that's why we had to change the name. So obviously when you say Flash, everybody thinks of, say, SWF. So professional software, zero coding. If you don't want to code, that's cool. There's code snippets, all that fun stuff. I can go into the brag, look, SWF and Air is awesome. Plenty of content out there. 4 billion Air application installs. So it's like Animate still supports that ecosystem and everybody who's doing things sort of in the SWF and Air formats. Okay, so that's like just thriving as it always has, right? And a lot of people have made the shift over to HTML5. This is no news. This isn't news to you guys, because we know even in Animate, 30% of the content made in it is for HTML, is what they end up publishing it out to. So it didn't make sense that it was called Flash anymore. So that's kind of part of it. And imagine, like, you saw all those little projects, and I'm not even saying those were good designs, by the way. I just grabbed a bunch of old stuff and threw it in there. But like if you can imagine having all this body of work that's in SWF format and you need to port it over to, say, HTML to work, say, pretty much everywhere, that's like a lot of work. And these guys, eChalk, it's just an education company, they had over 800 of these simulations, and it took them about a year, but they ported everything over to the HTML platform. And so I can go through all of these, and that's probably what we're going to spend the next 30 minutes on. Just kidding, we're not. But in general, like, that's quite a task. And to be able to do that, to take something that was in one technology and convert it over, and yes, there were changes, but 800 pieces, guys, that's like a couple a day, right? At least 2 to 3 a day that they had to port over. And, I could show you some of these examples, but you guys kind of get the idea. We don't really even need to dive too much into this. But, this is HTML. Right? And it's also a preview, apparently. But, I could adjust this, launch that sheep, and it's just a learning game in essence. But going from SWF to HTML, they had to do that in a major way. It's kind of a huge deal. All right, so everybody see let's move on. Messy desktop. WebGL as well. You have that flexibility. It really doesn't matter, guys. I can create in Animate and publish out to, say, WebGL as well. So just some quick examples of this. Again, no need for a plugin. Could be something simple like this. Could be game-related, but this is a WebGL actually published from Animate. And I have that in here as well. I can show you. It actually should be open, sorry. One of the projects. But in general, you can see this is a WebGL file format, basically. This is an FLA, but it's geared toward WebGL. So when I hit Command-Enter, like you're used to doing, it's going to publish that out and give me that WebGL version. It actually will take a second, but in general, it's like still having that same sort of, interactivity and everything from an SWF, from the FLA file. So yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, all right. So this is the published version, by the way, just published out. You can see these different guys, and they do different things, but in general, still made the same way as well, which is great, okay? So sort of leveraging my skills as a Flash designer and using it for this, like, new world as well. So let's go through. So WebGL, I can go through like more examples of that. I could talk about, I don't need to show you. You guys probably have SWFs on your desktop maybe, or at least on a backup hard drive somewhere, right? And it's cool. I could take that. I could publish it to HTML, WebGL, SVG exporting, and even custom platform support as well. So if you guys have heard of Snap SVG, it's basically SVG file format. It's a JavaScript library that allows you to add animation and interactivity. Actually made by C.J. Gammon at Adobe, but it's pretty awesome. And this is, again, just think of this as a custom framework. Here we have, again, one example. If we want to make an Americano or whatever, but I can interact with this. And you can see that it's actually, it seems like it looks like Flash, quite frankly. But this is the experience that I have from this custom framework, okay? So you could download it. That's what I've done, Snap SVG, this JavaScript library, and that's available to me as well. So if I take this file, for instance, I can go up here and I can convert it to other document formats. Let me just show you that really, again, real fast. Convert this to other document formats. Selecting that, you can see here's, HTML5 canvas, SWF, and then SVG animator. So that's the framework. So this means that like whatever comes down the line in the future, Animate's going to support it. That's the short of what's going on here. And let's go like there. So yeah, SVG, you guys saw some of those examples, how to convert that stuff. 4K video as well, which again is really impressive, being able to create an animation and publish it for broadcast. And, I can show you many examples of that. A lot of times, you'll have content, and maybe it is for a game or, some interactive content, who knows what. And then you might need to sort of create a video on that just to promote it. And that's the case here with this Summer Roast. Summer Roast is a game, so this is the trailer for it. So again, it's a game that's made in Animate, but you can see the trailer right here. Do I still have my music going? Oops. There we go. I was like, who's playing that music? How annoying during my presentation. It's gorgeous graphics. It's a company out of, I think, Czech Republic. So yeah, Summer Roast. The game isn't out yet, but this is just the trailer for it, which is super cool. You guys get the idea of what you can do there. So again, if I'm in Animate and I decide I want to publish out that animation, once it's done, I can go to export this video. I can give it sort of a specific length if I want to, because if there's a lot of action script-driven animation, then I could just say, hey, you know what? This is going to be a 2-minute animation, whatever the case may be, and it will publish that out as a video, right? And that's typically how you could easily work. So high-quality video exporting, easy enough. And then we can kind of dive into what's new since Animate has launched. And I can show you the slide that's like, hey, we added this many features. There's a lot of features. We can click through those. But in general, the big one is it being platform agnostic, being able to publish out to these different platforms. And this is just stuff that I'm going to dive into. CC libraries, you guys should be using that. It's like the next best thing since the layers panel, quite frankly. Vector art brushes, which is awesome, makes it like Illustrator. And of course, we talked about publishing, even publishing out to the OAM format. If I wanted to insert that into, say, InDesign or Muse or Dreamweaver, that OAM file format. All that OAM is, guys, is it's just some HTML and CSS and JavaScript in a zip file. So you could rename an OAM.zip and you'll see all those assets in there. But it's just one file format that you could bring into these other apps. Okay. But in general, it's again, super easy to work with. Let's dive right in, guys. I'm not going to make this complex either. Just start out. Again, we see these different formats. I could always change this later. I can talk about some of the nuances. I typically go with, say, ActionScript 3, so our FLA file format, right? And then I can start creating whatever I want to create, in Animate. Okay, and let me show you. I cannot. The resolution is pretty small here. There we go. Cool. So here are all my tools. Everything is active, right? This seems to look good or whatever. I can start to create whatever I want to create. Typically I would, maybe pull from my Creative Cloud library. So here's my Creative Cloud library panel right here. You can see all these various assets that I have that I could start using. So I'll just start dropping in a couple things. Let's get this background in there. Again, I'm pulling from my Creative Cloud library. Let's match that stage size. I get all this control when it comes to importing it. Say, okay, great. Drop in these clouds. Why not? Like that. And then I can start to bring in some other assets too. Okay, so there's basically bitmaps and vector-based objects. Let's get in a motorcycle in here. Just like that. Sweet. And let's grab this. bringing in a couple different elements, you know, and then I can kind of start to go to work, sort of creating this animation. Okay, so probably, again, I'm assuming you guys are semi-familiar with Flash, yes? You guys are used to this process that I'm doing right now, which is just, again, just moving assets around, grouping items together, maybe converting them to a symbol, right? And now we can have this title. I'm going to show you some of the new stuff. I just need to get a couple assets ready to go here. Bringing in this, just like that. And I can start to animate this stuff. And I'd probably have them slide across or whatever, right? So I'm creating in here, and this isn't bad so far. Let's take a look at the colors are like okay. In fact, let's dig into this car right here, and I'll show you this. I wish every Adobe app had this, and hopefully it will. But let's take a look at the colors, all right? I can change the color of this, right? We can make it any color we want, you know, pick a custom color, hopefully not pick something ugly, but let's go with, you know, sort of this, like, taupey color, something like that, sure. Something really specific. And what I'd want to do with this base color that I've made, whether it's come from a logo or anywhere, I want to use that like throughout my project because this is a signature color. In which case, what I'd like to do is right down here, I'd want to convert it to a tagged swatch, okay? Because I know I'm going to use this color many places, right? So this is going to be linked, basically. It's a linked color. So if I decide to, you know, use it on this title now to kind of make it match. Let's grab this one. You guys, it's going to do the obvious, right? As soon as I pick that color, let's all just agree that this is kind of an ugly color, right? It's like, reminds me of like Pepto-Bismol for some reason. It's kind of gross. But let's just change it to maybe something darker or whatever, and you can see it's changed it in both spots. So it's really straightforward. It's like we can have this idea of, you know, pulling from one resource from our Creative Cloud library, right? So I know I'm working with the exact assets I should work with, and then I'm also working with those exact colors that are also linked. So if you could imagine in the Summer Roasts example, like where you're using a specific color on a big game, it's obviously going to update that everywhere, and life is good. So those are the tagged swatches right down there. You can add as many as you want, continue to work, and let's go from there. Even as I'm designing in this case, let's minimize these panels. Still not crazy about that color. I'll try to refrain from messing with it. But in general, I might want to add some more to this and just start drawing. I wanted to kind of point out the vector art brushes that we have. So we have this brush right here. It's this paintbrush, so I could select it. And when I draw, you can see there it is. If I select it, you can... Sorry, brush tool. Am I losing my mind? I think I'm losing my mind. Let's select this. Here we go. I'm going to select this paintbrush tool. Again, they look very similar. I'm going to go into Properties, and I want to show you that you could actually, you know, create a vector art brush. And I could create a new one either using, say, Capture, Adobe Capture CC on my phone, how I can actually capture and create my own brush, or I can make one in Illustrator, or I can even access the brush library. So in this case, I can pick, for instance, like a charcoal brush. Any one of these I can go with. Charcoal, ink, paintbrush, you get the idea. A number of these that I can go with. And you can even see some that I have made as we take a look. Some nice ones. Hand-drawn. So again, if I just select any one of these, and I'll just draw if I can at least get a little screen real estate here. There's the vector brush that I'm using. So this brush, again, it's a vector, so I'm not going to get those edges, but I'm actually going to get that vector path. So if I select it, you can see those individual items. In fact, if I yeah, you can see that I have that path going on. Let's delete that. So in general, I can use this brush. I can make my own. That's what's in this CC library. In this specific Creative Cloud library, here are some brushes that I've made. So I have access to them as well. So they're available in Illustrator. They're also available in here as well. So I can pick this one that's a motorcycle, selecting it, and you can see that as I draw, it actually is. If you wanted to sort of draw with a motorcycle, you can. But this is the sort of creative freedom that I want. Right? I want to go sort of beyond the stock stuff, again, referring back to templates and everything, but at this point I can actually draw and create something really unique based on this brush. And again, this is the vector art brush. So eliminate those. Taking a closer look at this, again, I can go through all these tools, and I won't, but, I can create what I want. I can pull from a Creative Cloud library and start to build out this animation. In this case, I'll just animate something really fast and take it to the next level, because once we have something animated, in this case, let's just bring in these cars. We'll have them start over there. And let's convert them to a symbol. There's my vehicles right here. Create a classic tween, right? And yes, there's a couple different ways to do this. I could have done the motion tween, but in essence, I'm just creating a quick animation. Right? So we have one go, and then the other one will go, something like that, okay? So again, this is just my SWF file. I'll put it on my desktop. I could run this. You could see that animation play out. And a lot of these animations, I used to work for an agency, and I had to do banner ads like for days, by the way. You had fun creating one, but then, okay, we need like 15 different sizes or whatever at different file sizes as well. So different dimensions and everything. Well, in this case, I could do that. So when they do say, hey, you know what, we need, sort of more of a landscape one or a skyscraper as it's called, I have control over that. So I can go into the document. Right in here, if I decide I want this to be a different size, I can change the size. I could scale it. Or I can actually just say take off the top, so it can be like 500, for instance. The height will be 500, and it's going to anchor it to the bottom, right? So this is huge when it comes to creating banner ads. I'll click OK, and it actually is that size. In fact, we'll see it get cut off a little more, but let's run that, and you can see it's actually a different size. So having that flexibility for something very simple, this would have saved me so much time in the past. Because again, that's what I spent most of my time doing was, banner ads. So that's why this is pretty much essential. Obviously, I can scale content if I want to change this, and let's actually change this back. If I wanted to go 1920 by 1080 for, 4K video, I can do that. It's obviously going to resize it. Since it's vector, I can go ahead and, render out that video, and that's done. So if I hit OK, it's going to be that new size. All right, so again, I have this gorgeous animation that I spent all this time on. I can publish it out to different different platforms, different technologies as well. Because again, for this FLA file, I decide I want the HTML version. I can make the HTML canvas version, right? Notice what it does to the file name. It just adds _canvas to it, but it's still an FLA. So it'll put that on my desktop. Watch what happens. See how it talks to me about these blend modes? So it's basically blend mode saying, hey, you know what, HTML can't quite do everything Flash can do. Therefore, there's these various warnings when I output it. Okay? Not only that, if I take a look again, this is my canvas file. The reason it's a different file is because there's actually going to be some technology that's not available. So say, for instance, 3D is one. This 3D rotation tool is not actually available in HTML, but I could use it in Flash. So some elements might be grayed out just depending on the technology. Okay, so there's our canvas version. Let's convert it again. We can convert it to WebGL as well. There's our WebGL version. Let's convert it one more time to SVG Animator. And there it is. So we have basically 4 different versions. And we can look at each one of these. It's going to be exactly as you'd think it is. If I publish this out, you'll see it appear in the browser any second now. And I'll have that specific file. Wait for it, wait for it. So again, it doesn't have to be complex. It's not, because that's all I have to do. If you guys wanted this session to be longer, I could talk more. But in general, it's like that easy when it comes to publishing out like 2 new technologies. But that's what we have. Again, this is our HTML version. We have the WebGL version. Again, this one takes a while to publish, but you saw me do it earlier with this specific file. So you know exactly what's going to happen there. And then you also have this, the SVG. Sorry, this file name gets a little funny, but this is the Snap SVG version right here that I can publish out to as well. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4 different file types, and let's not forget about exporting out to video and SWF. And I mean, I could even talk about, I know animators, like I could show you Mike Milo's, this design, for instance. This is one of the things that he made. You have animators that use Flash or Animate CC as it's known, right? This is what they use for a lot of broadcast animation too. And I could show you this particular file. It's like peeking under the hood. There we go. Is that disturbing to anyone? Like, oh, that doesn't feel good. That can't feel good. But if we take a look at this, again, this guy does a lot of, I don't have any other specific examples of his because there's rights in terms of showing it. But we could see, take a look at this guy right here, how this stuff is done. So you can see all those specific keyframes. It's pretty straightforward. Just drawing, keyframe, keyframe, keyframe. There's nothing really fancy going on here. It's just, at the end of the day, it's just like a lot of hard work is what it comes down to. Same thing for this one. We'll play this one just for fun. We might have a motion path there with that fly, but the character is a lot of the frame-by-frame animation, and we'll take a look. So yeah, this one needs audio too. So yeah, Mike Milo has done work for what Phineas and Ferb is one of the shows he works on. Worked on Animaniacs as well. So yeah, that's our little character. But let's take again a peek sort of behind the scenes. We can see this animation here. Zoom out. And as suspected, you have this motion path, which should be right, looks like it's right there. That fly, and then just a bunch of keyframes. And that's how that's laid out. And that's how most FLA files will be laid out. Yeah. So there's his file. yeah, guys, I'm trying to think of, let me actually click back into my slides because I'm actually kind of going to wind down here. Probably another thing that I wanted to mention is the typekit integration. That's pretty straightforward. That's another thing that, when you're in here working on, any asset, if I go to the Canvas version and I start adding some text in here, I can drop in some text. We go into properties. You'll see you have access to, there's actually typekit fonts that I'm accessing now, okay? And typekit is important when it comes to the Canvas version, but it's also going to be available in my FLA and WebGL. It's just going to treat it differently. In this case, it's actually going to use typekit, and it's going to pull down from that network. And that's how that's done. Do you guys have any questions? I'm running out of things to talk about. I mean, it's not that hard, really, at the end of the day. So, yeah.
Did you design that car in the motorcycle?
I did not, no. Where I pulled that down from it was vector, but I used Adobe stock. So all I did is I jumped in here, and I did a search on motorcycle. And I wanted vectors, so that's what it'll give me. Those specific results is what I did. So, yeah, you can see them all right here. You can see even that title art that I've used, but at this point, if I want to either purchase it or save a preview, I have access to that. So I'm saving a preview. Remember, this Creative Cloud library is also available in Photoshop. So when I'm working on that same project in Photoshop, I can drop in those same assets. I always know this logo is going to be the same regardless of what app I'm working in. So that's why I think this is like, again, the next best thing next to your layers panel. Do you have another question?
Is there a difference in file size for when you export one particular animation out into all four of those various types?
Yeah, I think I actually did. We might be able to actually take a look at these file types. So I apologize for my messy desktop. But if we take a look, we can see the SWF that I've published, and the HTML file should be in here. So here is this Canvas JavaScript file is 200K. And then here's the SWF, and it's 189. So it's pretty negligible. Like, they're actually pretty close when it comes to file size. They're pretty comparable at the end of the day. And I don't know about, I'd have to take a look at the WebGL version. Not sure where that one would end up, because I do not think I published it. Any other questions, guys? Yeah?
Yeah, do you expect HTML5 to be more supportive of things like blurs and skews and 3D animation that you were showing that you can't currently do?
Yeah. I mean, yes. Doesn't it? That's already supported in CSS. Some of those, like blur filters, are supported, and I think one thing it's missing is like blend modes. I would expect that to come around, but it is supported. There you go. So even blend modes are supported. So it's just not actually in Animate right now. So, but I don't even know how widely it's, if it's available in most browsers, quite frankly. And that's the hard part. We don't want to give you that control, and then it's not supported in the browsers. So we just got to wait for the browsers to support it, and then we will. But yeah, 3D is, that's another thing. We have WebGL. That's used a lot in 3D.
Do we have any more other questions?
Yeah.
After you have published out to the other formats like WebGL,
after you've published out to WebGL or Canvas, do you need the original FLA in order to make further edits, or can you bring it back into Flash? Sorry.
Yeah, so once I convert it to WebGL, I got to keep this source file. So I would keep this around. Although you could look at the actual published file and sort through that. Obviously, you didn't write it. It's machine generated, so good luck with editing it, quite frankly. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's the short of it. You can't take that, you can't take the published file and bring it back into Flash, though, and that might be what you're asking. Yeah, so I haven't done that, and that's a good question. That's good. So yeah, you can't do that now, but good thought.
Do you know what the performance difference is between like Canvas and the other formats?
Oh, performance difference between, well, yeah, so in general, I'm not sure on an exact comparison, but in general, one is powered by, say, ActionScript, and one's JavaScript. So I'm not aware of any performance issues. And you know who would be good to ask that, quite frankly? Yeah, I haven't seen any performance issues with converting something to Canvas, quite frankly. And I know people that have done that, again, with those 800 files, have been converted pretty successfully, but I don't know anything specific about any issues with performance. I don't think there are any, quite frankly, so.
Do we have any other questions? No? Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, guys.